Let's be honest. Most men think they understand why women sleep with them. But what if I told you that everything you've been told, everything you've assumed, is only scratching the surface? What if the truth is far more shocking, far more calculated, and far more revealing than anything you've experienced in casual dating, or even relationships that seemed serious? The first thing you need to realize is this. Women are not simple, and their choices, especially in intimacy, are never random. They are influenced by a complex web of emotions, psychological triggers, and evolutionary instincts that are invisible to most men. And the sad truth, many men spend years chasing the wrong signals, thinking they're in control, when in reality, they're being guided by subtle forces they don't even notice. Here's the first shocker. Attraction is not just about looks or charm. Sure, being good-looking or having confidence helps, but it's deeper. Women unconsciously assess your emotional energy and psychological presence before anything else. This is why a man with average looks but high self-possession, a man who exudes unpredictability and quiet power, can effortlessly draw women into intimacy. Meanwhile, the stereotypical nice guy often gets ignored, even when he's flawless on the surface. Your physical appearance is only a fraction of the equation. Your emotional footprint, your aura, your subtle behaviors carry more weight than you realize. And here's the kicker. Women often sleep with men not for the reasons men assume. It's rarely about immediate attraction or love at first sight. It's about perceived value, dominance, and the way a man makes her feel about herself. Every gesture, every word, every pause in conversation is being calculated, consciously or subconsciously. This is why so many men are confused when a woman who seemed uninterested suddenly crosses the line into intimacy. It's not random, it's psychological. Another reality many men fail to see is that women's decisions are often guided by their desire for emotional resonance over logical reasoning. A man who challenges her, surprises her, or triggers emotions, even uncomfortable ones, can create a magnetic pull stronger than any compliments, gifts, or flattering words. Emotional arousal, tension, anticipation, these are the hidden currents that dictate her choices long before any physical action occurs. This is not manipulation. This is biology and psychology at work. Women are wired to respond to certain patterns of behavior, and understanding these patterns gives you a clarity that 90% of men will never achieve. Knowing this truth changes everything. The way you approach interactions, the way you respond to rejection, the way you interpret signals. You stop guessing. You start understanding. Now, before we go deeper, here's the subtle, almost invisible part that most men miss. Every woman you meet is scanning your life history, your confidence, your patterns, and even your silence, looking for signs of stability, risk, and authenticity. This is the underlying force behind intimacy decisions, and it often operates before a single word is spoken or a touch occurs. So, the first reason women sleep with men is far from the cliché you think. It's not about being nice, being rich, or being funny. It's about the psychological resonance, the emotional gravity you carry, and the way you make her feel alive, seen, and challenged all at once. The second reason women sleep with men will make most men uncomfortable because it exposes a truth nobody talks about openly. It's not about love, loyalty, or even attraction in the way you think. It's about perceived power and control. And before you roll your eyes, hear me out. This isn't about dominance in a brute sense. It's about subtle influence, emotional presence, and the unspoken message your existence sends to her subconscious. Women are wired to sense when a man holds internal power. And by internal power, I mean the ability to remain calm when the world is chaotic, to make decisions without validation, and to act in alignment with his desires rather than hers. When a woman senses that, it triggers a deep psychological response, part fear, part admiration, part irresistible pull. Suddenly, intimacy is not a casual choice. It becomes a response to energy she cannot ignore. This is why so many men are blindsided. They think being accommodating, predictable, or constantly nice earns intimacy. But what they fail to realize is that predictability kills desire. Women unconsciously crave a sense of challenge, tension, and unpredictability. A man who carries a quiet confidence, who does not bend to every mood or expectation, creates a magnetic field that few men can replicate. That's what I mean by power, not arrogance, not aggression, but grounded self-possession. The second shocking truth is that women sometimes use intimacy to test this power. It's not manipulation in the shallow sense. It's a primal instinct. Sleeping with a man can be a way for her to measure your reaction, your boundaries, and your ability to maintain composure. It's why some men get emotionally entangled quickly, while others experience brief connections and then vanish from her mind. The difference isn't luck, it's psychology in motion. And here's the part men never talk about. Women often measure this power against their own internal state. If she is unsure, conflicted, or seeking validation, she may enter intimacy not out of desire, but as a mirror to reflect how you handle influence. It's subtle, it's unconscious, and it's brutally effective. A man unaware of this pattern may think he's failing, when in reality he's simply not operating on the same psychological wavelength. Think of it this way. Every interaction is a silent negotiation of power. Your tone, your eye contact, the energy you emit, the decisions you make or withhold, all of it communicates to her whether you are a man who embodies internal gravity. And this is exactly what triggers that magnetic pull, often long before she admits attraction consciously. Now, imagine combining this understanding with the first reason we discussed, the emotional resonance. Suddenly, you're no longer guessing why intimacy happens. You can see the invisible forces at play. You begin to understand that women are not random, they are responsive. And your job, if you choose to step into this world of clarity, is to align your energy and behavior with these hidden psychological patterns. So, the second reason women sleep with men isn't about chasing them. It's about holding your own power, your own emotional ground, and allowing her to respond to that without forcing it. It's a concept most men never learn, yet once you do, it changes everything. The third reason women sleep with men is something most men will never admit, even to themselves. It's not about your charm, your money, or even your looks. It's about perceived scarcity and value and how you make her feel that she might lose you. Women are instinctively wired to respond to what seems rare or hard to obtain. It's not a game, it's biology. Your perceived availability, or lack thereof, directly affects desire. When a man is overly eager, constantly available, or predictable, women unconsciously devalue him. But a man who carries his life with purpose, who has boundaries, ambitions, and interests that don't revolve around her, instantly becomes magnetic. He signals that he is not easily taken, that his time and attention are precious, and this creates an intense psychological pull. Here's where most men fail. They confuse this with playing games, but scarcity isn't manipulation. It's about authenticity. If your life is full, your energy is abundant, and your focus is on growth, women naturally sense that you are living fully. When they perceive that, intimacy becomes less about persuasion and more about mutual recognition of value. The chemistry happens almost automatically. The shocking truth is this. Women often sleep with men when they feel they might miss out on an experience, an energy, or a connection that they cannot replicate. This isn't superficial. It's rooted in deep evolutionary programming. Scarcity creates desire, and desire often trumps logic. That's why a woman may pursue a man who doesn't chase her and feel drawn to him in ways she cannot explain. It's not about him trying hard, it's about her responding to the perception of value. And here's the part most men miss. It's not just scarcity of attention, but scarcity of emotional intensity. Women are drawn to men who evoke feelings she cannot experience elsewhere. Mystery, confidence, challenge, unpredictability. The more unique and intense your presence, the more likely she is to respond with intimacy. Ordinary men with ordinary energy rarely trigger this response. Let's be clear. This isn't a checklist or a trick. It's an understanding of how human attraction works on a subconscious level. When you recognize that women are subconsciously scanning for value and rarity, you stop wasting energy on strategies that don't work. You stop being desperate for validation. You start creating circumstances in which intimacy happens naturally because she is responding to who you truly are. Here's the final layer. Scarcity combined with consistency creates tension. A man who is selectively present, who holds his ground, and who embodies emotional gravity creates a magnetic field. Women feel it. They respond. And often they choose intimacy, not because he begs or pleads, but because his presence triggers something primal, emotional, and impossible to resist. So, the third reason women sleep with men isn't about what you say or what you do. It's about who you are, how you exist, and how your value is perceived without needing to prove it. Understanding this shifts your entire approach to attraction and to life. The fourth reason women sleep with men is one of the most shocking, and it cuts deeper than surface attraction. It's not about looks, money, or charm. It's about emotional safety and vulnerability, but in a way, most men completely misunderstand. Women are drawn to men who make them feel emotionally seen and understood, yet paradoxically, who also challenge them. It's a delicate balance, and few men ever achieve it. Think about this. Every woman carries her fears, insecurities, and unspoken needs. When a man recognizes them, not in a manipulative way, but through authentic connection, he triggers an intense psychological response. She doesn't consciously decide to respond immediately, but her subconscious reacts. Intimacy becomes a way to reward emotional attunement, even before she admits desire. And here's the kicker. Most men never realize this is happening. They think she's just being friendly or being flirtatious, when in reality, her body and mind are responding to recognition she can't yet articulate. The shocking truth is that women often sleep with men as a form of emotional validation without even fully realizing it. It's not about needing validation consciously. It's about subconscious reassurance. A man who can hold space for her emotions, who can absorb tension without collapsing, and who responds without judgment, creates a gravitational pull few men can resist. This isn't manipulation. It's mastery of presence. Now here's where most men completely misunderstand intimacy. They assume that vulnerability is about weakness or confession. But true vulnerability, the kind that triggers a woman's deepest emotional response, is about presence, control, and authenticity. A man who is comfortable in his own skin, who can remain calm in emotional turbulence, and who allows her to express herself without fear of judgment, creates a psychological environment where intimacy feels safe, but exciting. And here's the subtlety many men miss. Women don't respond to safety alone. They respond to a blend of safety and unpredictability. A man who can ground her, yet also challenge her assumptions, evoke curiosity, and keep her emotionally engaged, becomes magnetic. This combination of emotional resonance and controlled tension is rarely understood, yet it is one of the most powerful triggers for intimacy. The fourth shocking reason women sleep with men is tied directly to how men handle her inner world. Women instinctively test whether a man can hold their emotions, whether he can be present without trying to fix everything, whether he can maintain his own identity while absorbing hers. Those who fail the test are ignored. Those who pass become almost irresistible. Understand this. Intimacy is not random. It's a reaction to subtle psychological cues, emotional attunement, and unspoken validation. When you comprehend this, you stop guessing. You stop overthinking every interaction. You start acting and existing in alignment with a truth 90% of men never see. So this fourth reason isn't just about attraction. It's about creating a psychological space where she can explore her emotions safely, yet feel the thrill of connection and challenge simultaneously. And once a man understands this, he begins to operate on a completely different level of influence and understanding in dating and relationships. The reason women sleep with men is rarely discussed, and it's so subtle that most men completely miss it. It's not about flirting, compliments, or physical attraction alone. It's about identity reflection. Women unconsciously look for men who reflect aspects of themselves they either admire, crave, or aspire to be. And the shocking truth? When a man embodies qualities she sees as missing or ideal in her own life, intimacy becomes almost inevitable. Think about it. Women are always scanning for alignment, not just with their desires, but with their sense of self. A man who can mirror her strengths, challenge her weaknesses, or represent a version of life she secretly wants triggers a powerful psychological response. She doesn't need to consciously understand why she's drawn to him. Her subconscious has already made the calculation. And often, she enters intimacy as a way to connect with that reflection, to feel integrated and even validated. Here's what most men miss. It's not about pretending to be someone else. It's about amplifying your best self. A man who lives authentically, who has clarity about his purpose, who radiates confidence and direction, automatically becomes a mirror for her aspirations. Women are wired to respond to this without realizing it. This is why sometimes a woman may sleep with a man she barely knows, because on some subconscious level, he represents the life, energy, or identity she is seeking for herself. Now, the shocking part, this is not about manipulation or seduction in the traditional sense. This is biology, psychology, and emotional alignment combined. When she senses that you embody qualities she wants reflected in her own life, whether it's strength, freedom, adventure, or emotional courage, she is drawn to you like a magnet. Your presence becomes a catalyst for her self-realization, and intimacy often becomes the natural response to that psychological resonance. And here's the hidden dynamic most men never see. Women are constantly balancing desire and safety, instinct and social judgment. The man who reflects the qualities she subconsciously craves while also maintaining his own boundaries and energy becomes irresistible because he satisfies multiple psychological triggers at once. She experiences both challenge and validation, tension and reassurance, excitement and security, all in one presence. This is why the fifth reason is so powerful. Intimacy is not just physical, it's deeply symbolic. When a woman chooses to sleep with a man, she is often responding to a reflection of herself she cannot articulate. And this is why men who live fully, authentically, and with clarity of purpose experience attraction on a level most men will never understand. So the fifth reason women sleep with men isn't about what you say, what you do, or even how you look. It's about who you are, what you represent, and the subconscious alignment you create with her own identity. Understanding this changes everything about how you approach connection, dating, and intimacy. The reason women sleep with men is the one most men will never see coming. It's not about seduction, wealth, or charm. It's about emotional contrast and tension, the subtle push and pull that makes her feel alive, uncertain, yet deeply drawn to you. Women are wired to respond to energy that challenges them emotionally, and this creates desire in a way nothing else can. Think about it. When a woman feels emotionally safe all the time, desire often diminishes. Predictability kills excitement. But when she experiences a man who is calm yet assertive, attentive yet independent, warm yet mysterious, suddenly the tension ignites. She may not consciously understand why she's drawn to him, but her mind and body are responding to a complex cocktail of psychological triggers that creates attraction and drives intimacy. Here's the truth most men miss. Women often enter intimacy as a response to this emotional dynamic, not just physical desire. It's the contrast between comfort and challenge, connection and space, anticipation and unpredictability that awakens her deepest instincts. And this is why some men who seem hard to read or distant have women thinking about them nonstop. They are masters of emotional tension without even realizing it. And it goes deeper than just tension. Women are also responding to how a man makes her feel about herself. The right kind of challenge, when paired with respect, presence, and confidence, can make her feel alive, desired, and even empowered. This emotional contrast is like a psychological magnet. It pulls her toward him in ways words cannot explain, and often before she consciously realizes it. Here's the hidden layer. Emotional contrast works because it taps into primal instincts. Women are evaluating whether a man can provide stimulation, security, and excitement all at once. Intimacy often occurs when she feels that combination, when she senses the balance between challenge and emotional resonance. Most men never understand this, and that's why they get frustrated, confused, or misled. Now, imagine combining all 6 reasons we've explored: the emotional resonance, power, perceived value, psychological safety, identity reflection, and emotional contrast. You stop chasing, you stop guessing, you begin to understand the invisible forces that guide attraction, desire, and intimacy. You start seeing patterns in human behavior that most men never notice, and your interactions shift from random luck to deliberate influence without manipulation. So here's the challenge for you. Think about the women in your life, the connections you've had, and the patterns that repeated themselves. Can you identify which of these 6 reasons played the biggest role in each scenario? Write your answer in the comments below. If you found these insights valuable, hit like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend who needs to hear this. Your understanding of these truths might just change the way you connect forever.